Great point, Charles.
I remember I was not in Tallahassee when College Game Day came to FAMU. I believe that was 2008, if I have the year correct.
That's correct.
Don't hurt me if I got that year wrong. But
no, it's 2008.
Yeah, but I remember the buzz that went on in Tallahassee during that time. It's a big deal. Let's put this into perspective because I'm a numbers man. They only do 15 shows a year, College Game Day, 15, 17, 15 to 20 shows a year because they'll do it for the bowl games and things like that. So there's only 20 opportunities. There are how many FBS programs? 132. There are 131 FCS programs. Never seen. I'm not saying they haven't been to a Division II or Division III, but those are the rare exceptions. So out of the 900, there are 890 college programs when you add NAIA and junior college. To have that opportunity for them to come to your campus, it's special. It's just that simple. It's special.
Well said. When you talk about the FCS programs, they went to a couple of North Dakota State, I think the Harvard-Yale game. Obviously, taking it back to the HBCU perspective, they did the year that the Bayou Class moved to Houston, 2005. You did that, had a rain out, so it made it a little tougher and said to move it. And then obviously for the MEAC Swag Challenge a couple of years ago, they opened up the season doing that. But this is big in terms of the enormity. So it's going to be fun to focus on these two brands, Southern and Jackson State, two of the biggest, richest brands out there. FAMU obviously has something to argue about that. Grambling, Prairie View, North Carolina A&T, some other brands out there. Not to leave any out because all of the brands are doing what they need to do in terms of this. Yeah, the Magic City Classic, we'll focus on that when we do the matchup. And so you're talking about at least two games that are going to have over 50,000 people celebrating HBCU sports in two neighboring states. Think about that. Let's get real about this conversation.
What a time. Yeah, what a time to be a fan of HBCU athletics, HBCU football. When you're talking about being in the midst of homecoming season and then game day coming to Jackson for this rivalry. And this is a rivalry with Cavil. I always say it checks all the boxes of everything that you love about Black college football. I'm really excited to get to this weekend.
You talking about you'll have 10,000 fans in Greensboro, North Carolina for G-Hope. You have 10,000 fans. I mean, outside of the stadium, right? Not inside. It'll be full with 20,000. You'll be in Tallahassee for the home one.
Wait. You know, Bragg is sold out, right? Bragg is sold out. So that's 25 right there.
Right. That's
inside the stadium.
I'm talking about outside of. So you're talking about 30, 40,000 folks getting
game
around.
At 4 o'clock. You better be on campus by noon.
Yeah, you'll have to please. You know the rules there. You'll be at Prairie View. They'll have their fans there getting it done in terms of 10,000 outside the stadium with a capacity crowd there. Let's get into it. Let's get into our first break. We'll be right back on the other side. We'll get into the poll rankings, give some love to the all HBCU players of the week, whether it's SWAC, MEAC. Big South had one, as well as the OVC. We'll get a little bit in there. We'll get into these poll rankings. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break.
Support the Black College Sports Network so we can continue to provide you coverage. Go to myjbn.com/support and be a part of the Black College Sports
Tell everybody
Network.
They can follow their dreams.
Let's get back to getting ticks instead of watching flicks. Before we can safely get out there, we need the facts on COVID-19 vaccines. Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision for yourself and for your crew.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more. But it's so absorbent, you can use less. So it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
Maureen is saving big holiday shopping at Amazon, so now she's free to become Maureen the Merrier. Food is her love language, and she really loves her grandson. Like, really loves.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
The analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a lot, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. I see the chat is going well with the I hate Southern week, I hate Jackson State week. My goodness, man, it must be good. The banter will be good, and I'll be living vicariously through all of it. With that being said, let's get in and quickly honor those football players of the week for the SWAC, MEAC. We had one for the Big South as well as one for the OVC. Go ahead, Charles.
Okay, let's take a look at it. Let's start with the SWAC Football Weekly Honors. The SWAC is named previews Trayvon Conley, Jackson State's Aubrey Miller, and Savion Wilkinson, along with Texas Southern's Sean Xavier Lewis as the SWAC Football Players of the Week for their exceptional performances this past weekend. We'll run through it quickly. Trayvon Conley, Offensive Player of the Week, 15 of 21, 179 yards, 119 yards, averaging 9.9 on the ground. Aubrey Miller, he was at the center of Jackson State's stout defense with 13 solo tackles, 7 of the stops limited to the Campbells to 3 yards or fewer, including a 6-yard sack and another tackle for a loss. Lewis contributed a key punt return for a TD, which helped turn the tide for Texas Southern in the third quarter in their game versus Alcorn. And Savion Wilkinson, second 100-yard rushing game of the season, 24 carries, 116 yards with 1 touchdown. So those were your SWAC Football Players of the Week. Let's take a look at the MEAC. As MEAC named South Carolina State senior wide receiver Shaquan Davis as the Football Offensive Player of the Week, as well as Patrick Godbolt. He was a junior defensive end from South Carolina State. He earned the Defensive Player of the Week honors. Let's take a look at Shaq Davis's numbers. He had 6 receptions for 116 yards. His most extended play was for 35 yards as he ended the day with 2 touchdowns as the Bulldogs knocked off North Carolina Central 26-24 in their MEAC opener. Patrick Godbolt, he accounted for 7 tackles, 2 for a loss, and he also got in the backfield for a 3-yard sack, and also forced the North Carolina Central fumble for a huge game for South Carolina State for Patrick Godbolt. So those are offensive and defensive players of the week in the MEAC. The Big South Player of the Week, North Carolina A&T quarterback Jalen Fowler. He had career high passing for 297 yards and 4 touchdowns to lead A&T to a big 38-14 win over Robert Morris. And the Ohio Valley Conference Specialist of the Week was Caleb Mosley from Montgomery, Alabama for Tennessee State. He scored 13 points, making 3 of 3 on the field goals and 4 of 4 on PATs as Tennessee State topped Eastern Illinois 37-17 to win its 3rd straight. And those are your weekly honors.
Good. Mm-hmm. Good job. Let's get into these poll rankings. Mid-major, let's get into the second half of the season. So we'll jump right through it. Not a lot of change in this week as we get into these poll rankings. Let's talk about those dropping out of the poll rankings. Bowie State Bulldogs had their 2nd consecutive loss, upset in a lot of ways. So they fall out of the poll at 4-4. And then you have Lane Dragons that had a tough loss to Tuskegee. They also fall out of the poll at 4-4. However, they are receiving votes, so they stayed just outside of the top 10. Both of them, Bowie State and Lane Dragons, respectively, having 9 and 6 points as they're just outside of the top 10. Getting in the top 10 with 2 newcomers back into the poll for one of them. Number 10, Kentucky State Thoroughbreds are 4-4 on the season, 3-2. They jump in for the first time this year, not ranked. Then you have Virginia at number 9. West Virginia State Yellow Jackets 5-3, 4-1. They jumped back in the poll this week, 19 and 14 points respectively, bringing us to number 8. Virginia State Trojans 5-3, 4-2, as they stay at number 8 with 25 points, bringing us to number 7. Tuskegee Golden Tigers 6-2, 5-0, and as Drew knows, they continue to roll and look to see if they can get it done against Kentucky State later this week with 32 points. They stay in the poll and move up 2 points. The number 6. Fayetteville State Broncos 6-2, 5-1, 53 points, as they remain there at number 6, moving up 1 spot from number 7, getting into the top 5. The big boys getting it done here. At number 5, Albany State Golden Rams. They do fall 1 spot from number 4, but they stay in the top 5, bringing us to number 4. Langston Lions with a big win last week, as we told you on Sunday. They get it done at 6-1, 5-1, 72 points. They do fall 1 spot from number 3, bringing us to the number 3 team at Fort Valley State Wildcats, 7-1, 4-1 on the season, 80 points. They improved 2 spots from number 5, and you got number 2, Benedict Tigers, 8-0, perfect this season thus far, 6-0 in the race, 4 first place votes, 88 points. If it wasn't anything other than Virginia Union Panthers, they would be number 1. But Virginia Panthers continue to roll 8-0, 6-0, and do not want to get off of it. It seems 6 first place votes, 98 points. Virginia Union Panthers number 1 for the 7th straight week as they continue to get it done in there. Let's jump straight to the major division and see what's going on there. And maybe we have time to have a little conversation after that. Let's get into that major division. As you see, Alcorn State Braves, after their 2nd consecutive loss, dropping them down under 500. They fall to 3-4 as they continue to get it done. Those 2 losses in conference is doing them that way as they jump out of that top 10. Those receiving votes, you got a clutter of teams that have improved, finding a way, but Alcorn dropping out. Alabama A&M Bulldogs 3-4 as they're off this week. They continue to do it. Texas Southern Tigers 3-4 overall. In terms of we get done, they're just outside of the top 10. Alcorn State Braves, they're still getting votes, as well as Tennessee State Tigers as they improve to 3-4, along with Texas Southern, both improving to 3-4 on the season there. Let's get in the top 10. South Carolina State Bulldogs fight themselves all the way back in the top 10. Can't quite get rid of them. 3-4, 1-0. Big win over a top 10 program gets them in the poll. Number 10, as they previously were not ranked, 12 points. Bringing us to number 9. Delaware State Hornets fall from the top 5. 4-3, 1-1 on the season, 22 points. They fall all the way from number 4, 5 spots. At number 8, Hampton Pirates 4-3. They were rolling for a while, but stiffer competition has them looking down as they fall 2 spots with 27 points. At number 7, Alabama State Hornets 4-3, 2-2 on the season, 39 points. Previous ranked 9, so they fall 2 spots, even though they were off because of the other teams around them making moves. At number 6, North Carolina A&T State Aggies 4-3, 2-0, 64 points. They fight themselves all the way from number 10. They move up 4 spots as they continue to churn and get it done in the Big South race, bringing us to the top 5 programs. Prairie A&M Panthers 4-3, 3-1, broke out of that 500 record they have as they were out in non-conference and pounced on Lamar, 69 points. They move up 3 spots and jump back into top 5. At number 4, North Carolina Central Eagles 5-2, 1-1, 90 points. They drop 2 spots from number 2 after they get beat on the road. Could not get the field goal as they threw an interception in end zone. And is it too late, too little for the Celebration Bowl? We'll have to see the rest of the season. It might sting all year long and during the off season. At number 3, Southern Jaguars are 5-2, 3-1, 91 points, moving up 2 spots from number 5, bringing us to number 2, Florida A&M Rattlers. They just stay around and find a way to win. 5-2, 3-1, 97 points, move up 1 spot from number 3. At number 1, Jackson State Tigers 7-0, 4-0, all 12 first place votes, 120 points. For the 8th consecutive week, they are ranked number 1. Again, I told you as we had that intro, you got a 3 coming into the number 1 team in HBCU football. But you talk about a big-time matchup. We'll talk about that more in detail in terms of that matchup on Thursday. As you got the rankings, let me go to you, AD. Drew, what are your thoughts in terms of mid-major or major division rankings? Take it away. Go in whatever direction you see fit.
I can't really argue with your top five in either one of those polls, Dr. Cavil. I like the five. I like the order. I do have one blip that I think may have on your mid-major poll, and that's with Fayetteville State being ranked 6 and Tuskegee being ranked 7. I honestly think those two should be flipped because although they have identical records, Tuskegee's undefeated in their conference, and Tuskegee has probably a signature victory against West Alabama compared to Fayetteville State, who does not have a signature victory. That's the only argument that I can really put out there. And I'm really not trying to sound like a Tuskegee homer when I say that, but I do think that signature victory against West Alabama should be worth a little bit more with your pollsters, in addition to the undefeated in the conference.
I will say this: you are a homer, but I think your point is valid. It doesn't matter. In this case, I'd have to say that's a great point you make. I would agree with you that the non-conference win by Golden Tigers is stronger than what Fayetteville State has done. I think some of it is more about where Tuskegee started in the poll.
Yeah.
And sometimes
and that's a fair argument. That's a fair argument.
Right. But I think your point is, as this plays out, they continue to win, they're likely going to jump over Fayetteville State, if not higher than that. Great point you made there. Let me go to Charles and see what direction he wants to go in.
Yeah, I'll start with the mid-majors, and I take my hat off Virginia Union. Jada Byers, 40 carries, 187 yards this past week. Virginia Union, they just get it done week in, week out. Shout out to Langston. I don't know if you caught it, but the walk-off scoop and score for the Langston Lions in overtime for a huge victory. Shout out to Langston's play-by-play. That was a great call on that in overtime, so I enjoyed watching that. But that will probably be the only one that I take a look at. Tuskegee, Fayetteville. I think Tuskegee is just playing some tremendous ball. I'll probably have them at 6, and it sets up a very, very fun matchup when you talk about Tuskegee going to Kentucky State this upcoming weekend. I think that's going to be a great one. On the major side, oh, wow. South Carolina State, North Carolina Central. I mean, we'll see how much that, Dr. Cavil, we'll see how much that hurts North Carolina Central because everything was there for them. For South Carolina State to hold serve, if you will, and get that win. And now Central is, they have to fight looking up, to try to see if South Carolina State will stumble somewhere. So a huge win for South Carolina State. I see you, North Carolina A&T, playing some great ball over there. Southern, of course, playing some great ball. FAMU hasn't lost since the opening since Jackson State. So they reeled off some impressive victories there, and they just keep climbing. Now's the time to go ahead and make that case for the playoff. So and hope Jackson State falters somewhere along the line. So looks like everything's in place. Shout out to those teams that are quietly churning away. Alabama A&M. They've won 3-0 in conference play. Texas Southern, huge win on the road at Alcorn on Alcorn's homecoming. And Tennessee State, they've won 3 in a row. So a lot of great ball being played right now.
As you said, A&M won 3 in a row. They lost to FAMU. They're getting done. Alcorn obviously did drop 2 straight conference games, so they're looking up. So it'll be fascinating to see what that looks like. But great points. Eddie Drew, did want to give you a second turn. Did you want to say anything about the major division? I know most of your focus was there. We got a little more time. Did you want to say anything more about the major division?
No.
Or do you like what you see? You got approval on that. Charles kind of agreed with the Tuskegee and the Fayetteville State. So see, it wasn't just about being a homer. You were on the money.
Yeah, I really concur with what Charles said. The question is, how far will South Carolina State wind up going up the polls this year and this week with the I believe they got Morgan State this week. If I do have my schedule correct, I don't have it in front of me. But this could be a case where you see South Carolina State, just like last year, coming in at most polls in the second 5, but still making it to the Celebration Bowl and set themselves up to possibly for an opportunity at the national championship. Whereas you've got a Central who right now on paper has a better record, slightly better resume. But do they have a better resume? See, that's why we got to put it out here and let these people decide. I really don't know which one of them has a better overall resume. Central has that signature victory right now. But so does South Carolina State defeated A&T, if I remember that correctly. Also,
that's correct.
Both of them have signature victories. So
let me throw this out.
Yeah, you got Central beating A&T beating South Carolina State. You got Central having the top 25 win, and the New Hampshire team is doing well. But like you said, it's going to continue to churn. But you got these top 5 teams that play each other: Jackson State, Southern, Prairie View, Alcorn is going to play. You got Southern over Prairie View. So it's gonna be fascinating. What did you want to do?
Get last name before you get to Charles. And the one thing is, what's our measuring stick gonna be between all these teams? It's gonna be a historically white school named Campbell, who's gonna be the measuring stick when we go and do our prognostication later on, because Campbell will have played Jackson State, Central, A&T, and yeah, those 3 teams. So that's gonna be one of our measure sticks that we go to figure this out later on. Go ahead, Charles.
Speaking of which, where all my A&T folks? Oh, well, wait till y'all see Campbell. Wait till y'all see Campbell. Where all my HBCU folks at? Where do y'all see Campbell?
I said, hey, did I throw that softball up there? Did I throw it up there, Charles?
That's what he said.
Hey, they got Charles. He set it up for you, Charles. He set it up for you. Oh boy! All I know is A&T cannot lose now. They cannot lose. They got to win. It can be by 1 point, but they got to win the game. I think they will win the game, but boy, they cannot find a way to lose that game for multiple reasons. Obviously, let's jump into this break, and we'll come back on the other side and get into some of the mid-major classic games of the week, independent games of the week. We have some difference in there. We won't spend a great deal of time on those mid-majors because we want to show some new teams some love. Then we'll come back and get into some of these major games of the week, and we'll call it a day. Stick with us. We'll be right back as we get into the marching sport in terms of the halftime part of the show. Bring back on the other side so we can give you the 3rd and 4th quarter. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break.
Your ad could be ran here. MyJBN.com/support. MyJBN.com/support for more information.
The new GMC Sierra with hands-free driving offers the most advanced and luxurious pickup in its class. Yeah, it rocks.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside HBCU Sports Live with Professor Bishop, Professor Drew, and they're giving you a great lecture today in terms of some of those poll rankings. Talking a little
just call me John Stockton. I'm dishing out assists to Charles.
For real. As we get into these mid-major rankings, I did want to talk about the first regional NCAA Division II rankings are out. for 2022. Remember, on the first, they do it alphabetical order, just in terms of that, and you get those top 10, 12 teams in there, right? And obviously top 6, depending on if they're out of in terms of a range, representing those 4 conferences in the Super Region 2, which is Go South Conference, CIAA, SIAC, and what's the
South
fourth
Atlantic
conference over there?
South Atlantic.
South Atlantic.
Yeah.
Appreciate it for our Division 2 expert here, AD Drew. Let me get into it. So Albany State, Georgia, 6-1, 6-1 in conference play. Remember, they do not really rank in terms of those non-Division 2 opponents that were out there. So think about that. They do have the loss to FAMU, but it doesn't count in terms of the regional matchup. Benedict is 8-0, obviously overall in terms of the record as well. 8-0 in terms of Division 2 programs. Delta State 7-0, 6-0. Fort Valley State 7-1, 7-1. Lenore Ryan 6-2, 6-1. Newberry 7-1, 7-1. Tusculum 7-1, 7-1. Virginia Union 7-0, 7-0. West Florida is 5-1, 4-1, and Wingate is 7-1, 7-1. With that, what are your thoughts when you first saw the announcement of the regional rankings? I think you basically told everybody previously these are the teams to look at, and talked about some of the things falling out in search of way in terms of who would have a shot to get multiple teams in the playoff, most likely the SIC. In terms of that, you're looking at probably 3 HBCU programs, outside shot to get maybe 4, but we'll see how it plays. What are your thoughts on the regional rankings?
Lenore Ryan and Wingate still have to play each other this year. So one of those teams will probably drop out of the rankings. You really need Lenore Ryan to lose, because on the projections, Lenore Ryan was the lower projected team of those 2 teams. Another thing is who's probably outside that top 10, Dr. Cavil? Fayetteville State and Tuskegee are probably just outside of the top 10 if you look at the projections. So there's a good chance that if either one of these should pull off the upset, should they get to the conference championship games, they could still be in there, and we can still get that 3rd team in. Here's another thing. The Fountain City Classic at the end of the season. Think about how huge that is. You've got Albany State and Fort Valley right now in the top 10. Right. They saying Fort Valley is 6, Albany State is 10. So that's going to be important. And inside sources have told me that both of these teams are looking for an opponent week 11 to enhance their resume. So the winner of the Fountain City Classic may be playing week 11 against an opponent to enhance their resume.
A lesser opponent, or what exactly?
They've got to play somebody at least 500 or better in order for it to even help their rankings.
So all cards on the table if they lose. I mean, that's kind of risky, is what I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, you put all hands at deck, but you need to prove it, especially if you're at Albany State. Albany State's right now with the projections are Albany State is the lower rated team. What both these teams fear is what happened to Virginia State in it was either 2017 or 2018, where they went into their after week 10, they were the number 17. I believe they upset Union that year, so they were in until they got bumped at the end by upset conference champion who got in as a preferred qualifier. That ironically, that conference champion was Miles College, who bumped out Virginia State that particular year, because you do not want to be sitting in that number 7 spot going in, because the chances of you get bumped out, should a lower ranked conference champion get in, you're the first one to go. That's why both of these teams are looking to potentially add an 11th game against an opponent who's 500 or better. Don't know if they're going to be able to get an in-region game. They may have to go to another region to get that game, but they're trying to find an opponent 500 better. Problem is finding somebody who is not playing on week 11. That's the problem both these schools are having right now. And that's a worthy opponent.
Let's look at some of these major classic games of the week. We don't have to get in a great deal of dialogue because some of this is I just wanted to share in terms of how they're going to play with some of those regional rankings. But let's see if we can pull out these mid-major games of the week with Savannah State in the Classic. That's the Macon Central City HBCU Football Classic in Macon, Georgia, Hendon Stadium. Savannah State Tigers 3-5, 2-4. Had played some close games, but certainly are not living up to what many people's expectation was coming into the season. Coaching change, so it'll be interesting to see rivalry in terms of state public institutions there. They're up to number 3, Fort Valley State Wildcats in the poll ranking here, 7-1, 4-1. So it should be fascinating to see can Fort Valley continue to churn to get those wins necessary to continue to make their case at the end of the season, leading into that big game they have at the end of the season, as you talk about the Fountain City Classic against Albany State. So great point there. Independent matchup, I have Lincoln, Missouri Tigers, 0-8, 0-8 at Central Missouri Mules, 2-6, 2-6. This is on the road, Warrenburg, Missouri, Audrey J. Walton Stadium, 1 o'clock. You say, why do you have an 0-8 mid-major team up in Missouri? Well, this is probably their last chance to get a victory. As Drew talked about, the last teams on their schedule are teams that are nationally ranked. One of them on the road, so it's highly unlikely they can get it done there. So if they want to get at least one win on the schedule, they're going to have to do it on the road probably this week against Central Missouri that just has 2 wins on the season. But I have my eyes on to see what that looks like. Let's get into our last break. We'll come back on the other side because great comments you made in terms of the Division II power rankings, which I think were more important, making sure that we inform our viewers. Then we'll get into some of the major division games of the week, big games here. Get your discussion on that. Let's get into the other side. We'll be right back after this last break, getting into the fourth quarter where it counts.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Brian, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
We'll be there soon.
We? Is this the one?
Well, let's say I found the one who takes me to another level. Always stays calm under pressure. Most importantly, the one that helps me discover the coolest places.
This sounds wonderful.
Come outside, I'll introduce you.
They're here.
Definitely the one.
Introducing the all-new Nissan Frontier.
At CDW, we get speed as the new currency of success.
Our team spends way too much time tending to outdated applications and software when they should be focused on driving application agility and innovation.
CDW Amplified Development Services modernizes software and application development to help accelerate innovation and digital transformation.
So you mean building new applications, UI, and mobile interfaces?
Well, you said you needed to innovate more quickly.
Oh, so he's a listener.
To do more at scale, trust CDW Amplified Development Services.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside HBC Sports Lab. We have Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is out on assignment. We have none other than AD Drew. Gonna get into some of these matchups. We got the major division classic game of the week, Birmingham Legion Field Magic City Classic So we'll talk a little bit about that. We can go into our independent. We're going to give you a bonus independent this week. So we'll take advantage and look both at A&T and Tennessee State, one on the road, one at home. But let's get back into some of these matchups here. We talked about having more than 50,000 fans over there in Birmingham for this Magic City Classic. Let's get into this matchup here. You do have one ranked team, number 7, Alabama State Hornets, coming in here 4-3, 2-2, and they face up at Alabama Bulldogs that, as Charles alluded to earlier, is playing some good football, winning 3 straight. They're 3-4, receiving votes, 3-1 in the conference. More importantly, they're still in the race because they haven't played Jackson State yet, even though they had the one loss. So, but to make that game matter as much as it could, they have to continue to win. Birmingham, Alabama, Legion Field Magic City Classic. Let me go to you, Charles. What are your thoughts in terms of this game in terms of Magic City Classic?
It's an intriguing matchup. When you take a look at Alabama A&M, they've been coming on of late. Got an opportunity to see Alabama State up close, and I'm extremely impressed with their defense. They have some big athletic corners who I think can hold down receivers. They did a great job against Texas Southern. They have a great receiving core at Texas Southern. They did an excellent job against Jackson State as well. So for those reasons alone, I really like Alabama State's defense to really hold serve in this game. So I'm taking Alabama State in this one.
Going with the number 7 team. I see you, Joe. Looking at my rankings and making a call on that. Let me go to you, AD Drew. What are your thoughts in terms of the Hornets versus the Bulldogs?
Look, if anybody is going to have an opportunity to outdraw Jackson State as far as fandom, this is one of the few stadiums that HBCUs play in that has the capacity to outdraw the 60+ thousand that you can at Veterans Memorial Stadium, as Legion Fields also holds 60+ thousand people. Now, I don't think that's going to happen this particular weekend, but it's going to push that 50,000 number and then a little bit further. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I lived in Alabama for a long time. One of the few reasons Legion Field is still in existence and they're still using it as a stadium is because of this classic. This classic is too big for the new stadium they built downtown, Progressive, that's only holds 40,000 people. So look, the neighborhood, the pageantry, the parade, everything else, I don't care who wins the football game. I just want to be able to take part of the festivities. And if it wasn't for this thing called Fairview Homecoming, I would be in Birmingham this weekend.
I know that's right. I like
no offense, Shaw.
Same here. If it wasn't for Fairview Homecoming or Texas Southern Homecoming, I would certainly be in Birmingham because my wife is Alabama A&M Bulldogs. So I'm going to give her some love. I know she's pulling for the Bulldogs. We'll see how that works out for them as she and Deuce may be heading that way to check out the Magic City Classic in Birmingham, see some family as well. Let's get into this independent matchup. Charles alluded to this. Campbell's 4-3, 2-0 in conference race at number 6, North Carolina A&T State. Aggies 4-3, 2-0, so both are undefeated in the race. Most people think this is basically the championship for the Big South. Obviously, you got to play it out. Greensboro, North Carolina, Truist Stadium, greatest homecoming on earth, better known as Jericho for those that are familiar with HBCU vernacular. Game will be on ESPN at 12 o'clock, Big South Conference, Saturday, November the 29th. Let me start with you, Drew. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup? A&T, can they get it done?
They should be able to get it done, but let's be real. This Campbell team, we saw what they did to Central, the Central team that beat A&T, and Jackson State dominated them on the stats, but they were able to play Jackson State close. So this is a team that. Yeah, I said y'all dominate the stats, but they were able to stay in the ball game. You within the score. Jackson State usually don't win games by one score. They held y'all to what, 3, 4 field goals, 5 field goals.
Yeah, they scored a late touchdown. They
right, but
the last minute. So,
but the point is, they held y'all to 5 field goals, Charles. That's my point. That's my big point. Here's the thing: Campbell going into an HBCU atmosphere will not phase them this time. They've already been in 2 this year. If you can survive Jackson State, you could definitely survive Jericho because you've seen this before. You've seen 60,000 in Jackson. You're going to see 25, 30,000 in Jericho. They will not be intimidated I want A&T to win. Would not surprise me if Campbell comes away with the upset on the road.
Charles, which direction you going? It sounds like you Campbell gonna get it done against A&T.
I think Campbell is a really good team. They're very stingy. I think it's going to be predicated on can A&T run the ball, can Tootin really puncture that defense. I think it opens up things downfield if they are able to run the football. It took Sibian Wilkinson had a tremendous game against Campbell. Tough, hard runs in between the tackles. It was a bare knuckles brawl game. Because everybody's talking about Campbell doesn't have this secondary. They did a great job, I think, of holding down Jackson State's passing game. Jackson State was able to work the tight end in the game. DJ Stevens was able to catch a long pass, and that kind of broke this game open. But I think this comes down to whether A&T can run the football. And if A&T can run the football, they should get the win on homecoming, but it's going to be tough. Campbell is a very tough team with a great quarterback. When you take a look at Hajj Malik Williams, a very mobile guy. They're not able to throw the ball downfield with very much accuracy, but they beat you up with that tight end coming across the middle, tight end who's going to play on Sunday. So A&T's defense is going to have to be ready for him. And they're going to have to block Brevin Allen. Jackson State's offensive line did a tremendous job against Campbell's defensive line in terms of protecting Shador. So I think that goes a long way as well. But I'll take A&T to get the win in this one.
It's interesting when you talk about those matchups and what it looks like. A&T likes to believe they can run the ball. And as you said, they're going to have to show it again in this game. And I think that's key. If they can run the ball, I agree with you. They can get it done. Let's move over to the Ohio Valley Conference. This matchup is to allow Tennessee State to stay within the race for a good game to come the following week, really the next 2 weeks, to decide what they will be in the Ohio Valley. They got to go on the road. Murray, Kentucky, Roy Stewart Stadium, 2 o'clock on ESPN+. Tennessee State, as you saw earlier with the polls released today, the receiving votes. They won 3 straight, 3 and 4. They are 2-0. Winning 2 of those games against conference opponents. But they're at Murray State Racers, who are 0-8 on the season, 0-3. So you would think they can get it done, but it is a road contest. Going to you, Charles. You saw Tennessee State up close. You said that they were a tough team, particularly on defense. They got a couple of players back after the tough home loss to Lane, and it looks like they've righted the ship. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup? Who gets it done?
Tennessee State is playing some really good football, and it helps to have a healthy Draylon Ellis coming back. So I think that's the big thing for. I think Draylon Ellis coming back for Tennessee State is going to go a long way. He's multidimensional. He can tuck it and run if need be, but. Playing at Murray State. Murray State hasn't won a game. Their back is up against the wall, but I'm going to go with Tennessee State in this one. And Jalen Rouse. I think Jalen Rouse will have a big game in terms of running the football for Tennessee State. They've really gelled over the past month of the season. They're getting some people healthy now.
Man, the last shout out to the guy on Twitter this morning that got me chuckling before I had to work out and made my workout much more lighter, easy to get through. He said the last time he saw Tennessee State go up to Kentucky, he was so tired of seeing that racehorse go back and forth. He said they scored so many times. He said the horse refused to run. It was so tired. Didn't want to run no more. Somebody came back and said, well, they did win last year in Nashville. He said, I know, but we're on the road. It didn't go well last time. I want us to win. I was like, wow, I love you. 80 Drew, with that thoughts, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
Hey, maybe the loss to Lane was the best thing for Tennessee State because including that loss to Lane, offensively, they found what's going on. They averaged almost 34 points a game offensively. And since that loss to Lane, they've given up 17, 14, and 17 points. So they found the formula. The loss to Lane may have been a wake-up call. And I'm gonna be honest with you, Dr. Cavil. I like Ohio Valley, Tennessee State. I don't like non-conference Tennessee State. So I'm gonna stay with the Ohio Valley, Tennessee State Tigers, and you can keep the non-conference Tennessee State Tigers.
Oh, I love it. Great point when you talk about which side of the Tigers you want to see. It is OVC, so it's a good chance that they're going to stay with the OVC Tigers that you like. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. We call it a show. I am Dr. Kenyatta, Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Want to shout out for those lab listeners out there, Jazzy Faye, Chuck Hunt, Christopher White, Noel Price, Thomas Einstein, Maddox. I see y'all cutting it up, giving Charles hard time. Varick Williams, I see you out there getting ready for the big time matchup. I know you're bringing the RV down there. Ricky Burton, Emma Price, Carol Keelam, Wendell Davis. That's brother Wendell Davis. Lonnie Shaw is in the building. Lenny Blow is in the building. Robert Jazzup, Frederick Roberts. That's brother Roberts up here ready to get down there, I'm sure, to Prairie View's homecoming. Herbert Bolden ready to celebrate Texas Southern's homecoming. Kudos. I see you, Herbert, back in the building. Your Tigers are looking good after that big win and upset over Alcorn. Jeff Roberts, Cooper Barnes Sr., Edward D. Moores, Wendy Jenkins Bishop, checking us out. Appreciate the love. Joel Eagle in the building as well. G Boom Holly, homecoming time. So looks like Holly is ready. Who else we got in here sharing some love? Troy Franklin, Kate Johnson is always in the building, making sure that we get it right in terms of updates for HBCU sports, particularly for those Tigers out there. Aubrey Parker's in here. I know he's ready. Day leaving Friday. Yes, I know. A lot of folks out of here Thursday and Friday. Stephen Gaither, HBCU game day will be there in the house. Which game you going to, Stephen Gaither? I know you're going to send the people out everywhere. Which game you going to? Brandon King, William B.J. Levette. Who else we have in here as we give some love? Michael Ford, Wenzo Phillips, Jerome G. Sutton's in the building as well. Jeff Roberts, Jonathan Blackman. Make sure we give the Willie. Alex Hines in here. If I didn't get to you, Theron Waters, appreciate you. Michael Knox, wanted to make sure we get as many as we could in here in terms of showing love.
Shout out to Zoe.
Set is always doing in there. Who else? Chuck Hunt. Who'd you say, Charles?
Shout out to my man Zoe. I see him out there.
Oh,
Zoe
yeah,
Phillip.
Zoe in the building. I see you. Appreciate you. Making sure you get in there. Anthony Weston. Oh, man, they in here deep today. Quentin Affiliate Nelson. With that, we'll do it for the show again. Again, we want to thank you for listening, Dr. This Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Watts and Charles Bishop. Come back on Thursday when we get into the SIAC, CIAA, MEAC, and SWAC for some big-time matchups, getting into some of these games. And certainly a great breakdown on
Go
that.
read
Jackson
that breakdown on
Southern.
D2football.com too.
Oh, yeah. Make sure you go check out AD Drew as he writes it up for the D2.com, especially breaking you all the news you need to know on the SIC. I'm sure he'll tell you about some of those big-time matchups, Kentucky State, as well as Tuskegee. And we'll talk about that on Thursday. Make sure you come in here with your homework. Check out D2.com. Checking out AD Drew. Ruben Hogan, in here. William B.J. Levette. Who we got on here? George Suggs is in here. And it must be homecoming big game week. People are doing well. We got all in here. Brandon King in here showing some love. With that being said, Silas Edward McMorris, shout out to everybody. We look forward to you next Thursday as we discuss the latest news in the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. It's DRKENYATTH. Charles.
Of course.
AD Drew.
Lecture.
Dismiss.
We'll holler.
We'll holler.